School and education is very important and vital for the growth of any human being, a student, for society, for a state, and for a nation. Young kids who are going to school with a supple mind, with a fresh brain, reads, writes, comprehends, and analyzes with his friends, in the shadow of his teachers, in a educational echo. His mind shapes itself, his brain formulates, and according to the top psychologists of the world, by the age of 6 to 8, a human brain growth is to its maximum. There are different claims and counterclaims, but more or less they accept and agree that 60 to 80% of human mind or brain takes its strength and its suppleness by this age. So school education, and especially primary education, is very important for students, for teaching community, and for a state and a nation. If a nation wants to grow itself, to transform itself, to develop itself, it must give maximum attention to the young kids of this age, provide them maximum of knowledge, of learning, and proper environment.
18 9 और थोड़ा हिसाब नहीं पढ़ते हो 18 9
What is very difficult and somewhat problematic is that education system, because of pandemic, was completely at closure for almost 2 years. Now the schools have opened, boys are going to school, but overall their number is very less, so maybe dropouts. And then you have to see two very important points and to understand them in context of the research and analysis done by some eminent personality and institutions. Here I would like to briefly mention the ESSER report by Pratham. Two very significant factors has been enumerated by them. First is that even in normal time, when the schools were open and when the teachers were teaching and when the students both gender were going to school, a boy, a girl of class 5th was not able to read and write even of class material of class 2. If this was scenario before pandemic, then in pandemic, the loss has accelerated. And when the schools are open, this has put us in a different framework and compel us to think how to retrieve that loss, how to salvage the mind of and the brain of our young kids, how to educate them and re-educate them so that they should compensate the loss which has occurred in that period, in the pandemic period.
तुम पढ़ाते नहीं हैं अंग्रेजी हिसाब ये सब नहीं बताते हैं क्या नाम है तुम्हारा सनी तुम पढ़ते हो तुमको हिसाब आता है अपना नाम लिख लेते हो अंग्रेजी में नाम बोलोगे कि माय नेम इज तो लिख दोगे उसको अंग्रेजी में लिखने नहीं आता खाली बोल सकते हो.
This is very important from the point of view of we as concerned citizens, we as sensitive human beings, because millions of boys and girls have suffered this particular loss. They belong to poor families, they belong to vulnerable section, they belong to deprived section, they are living in remote parts of this country, especially in rural areas. How to provide them major boosters and in a very convenient way, in a very friendly way. So we have to devise the new methodology, a new system. We're all concerned, whether it is the philanthropist, whether it is educationist, whether it's different organizations working in this field and even not working in this field, come together to provide them help and relief. The second significant point which has raised by the ESSER is what will happen when the kids who was in class 1 before pandemic and when the 2 years of closure was there, so what will happen, in which class he will go? And if he goes in class 3 promoted, then what will happen to his or her learning? So again, we have to see it in very scientific way, providing it a kind of a balance and a bridge course kind of scenario, which is very difficult if you only rely on the government services and government machinery. Here the induction and new kind of vision and methodology is required, a new approach is required by, again, the concerned citizens, the different institutions who are working in this area with different kind of vision and approach. So two fundamental issues which is now staying before us and needs to be solved, because the group which is affected by it are the students, boys and girls, and if you count them, they are millions. We must address the problem, thinking that they are our own kids, thinking that the development, their development is a state development, their development is a nation's development, and we cannot have liberty to lapse time. Must act and must act fast.